Did you realize that real estate investing is like the least creative thing possible?
In general, all wholesalers and flippers businesses are using the same unique selling proposition.
I still flip houses. We still, do high ticket things, but I can see that the long-term path is better if you can create recurring revenue.
Do you want to know the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 highest converting traffic sources across 18 million visitors?
Let's hear it. What's going on, Wealth Builders? Today, I've got a SaaS entrepreneur doing 8 figures a year in recurring revenue. He's done over $70 million in just recurring revenue payments over the years. And he has one of the biggest real estate website creators for real estate investors, Carrot. I've got Trevor Mauch. What's up, man?
Dude, Ryan, I'm pumped to be here, man. Thanks for the invite. I got to tour the place from Tiffany, and it's so cool, man, seeing what you guys have built here. It's
Dude,
fun.
and you brought me an awesome gift.
There we go.
You got me a custom baseball glove.
There we go.
With a lot of Christian themes on it, so super excited about that.
Dude, like we've talked in some of the text messages back and forth, my family's a big baseball family. My brother runs that company. My dad played for the A's and the Mariners back in the day. And I always love connecting with fellow baseball guys and entrepreneurs, man. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Yep. So, you run Carrot and you guys have been around for a long time. How many years now?
We're 10 years in now, which
10 years.
I'd never ran a company more than 2 to 3 years at a time before. I always would start something, get burnout or distracted or bored. Yep. And I move on to the next thing. So we're 10 years in now. Yeah.
Okay. And in 10 years, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, you guys have done over $70 million in, just recurring revenue, creating websites for real estate investors, websites that convert really well.
Yep.
And we just were talking for, about 30 minutes just about SaaS companies. And how you track churn and recurring revenue.
All that sexy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had switched my business recently to recurring revenue. So everything we sell is now recurring revenue.
Yeah.
We combined all the coaching, the agency with leads, our own softwares, and it's all just one.
Yeah.
And so it's a whole new game for me. Like I'm used to just big chunks of money all the time.
Dude.
20K flip, 30K flip. Okay. 10K coaching program, 25K mastermind. But now it's like, no, it's okay. Like let's get $1,000 a month here. We got a $97 a month thing here. We got, and it's like, wow, okay, this is a whole different business on the back end.
Dude. So question for you, that I think would be interesting for the audience. Why did you switch from the kind of the one-time type of income to recurring? What made you make that switch for your guys' business?
I would say 2 things. One is I think the economy is forcing it. And I think where the world is going is forcing it. Like we live in a subscription world. Yep. And I think that that's going to just become even more common as time goes on. Yeah. And, you just think about it. It's like, man, we did really well for years, tens of millions, and people would pay $10,000 up front for something or whatever the case is. But as the real estate market got worse and as people started to not have as much disposable income, it's like, well, we got to figure out a cheaper way to get them in. And so I started creating things for $97 a month. And then that led to then being more flexible on our coaching and our software and our leads and just saying, look, you could do this for $1,000 and we won't lock you into a contract. We'll just try it out. And it's just totally changed the game. Like the amount of people doing it now is significantly higher. Conversions went way up, being more flexible. And I just think like the economy forced it, number one. But number 2, I talked to enough guys on this podcast over the last year, guys like Russell Brunson and whoever else who have recurring revenue. And you just see the valuations on their companies. You see... business is stressful no matter what, but I would say it's less stress knowing you got some money coming in next month than just eating what you kill every month. Yep. So I think every part of it is just better.
Dude, for me, same thing happened in 2012. So my previous companies, where I kind of cut my teeth as an entrepreneur. So graduated college with a marketing degree, knew nothing about marketing. I got out in the real world and realized I knew nothing about marketing. And then I got into the internet marketing world, and it would have been 2008. I started my first company, was an online publishing company with the guy I was talking with you before we hit record here. Yeah. And now their company's crushing it, right? 30 million plus.
Explain a publishing company for those who don't know. Like, what is that?
Yeah. So a publishing company is a company that takes information. Could be packaging up in a book, could be a course, could be a training series. I mean, there's a million ways to do publishing today, but then you sell it. So I would even count like masterclass.com, right? They're a publishing company. They're taking other people's knowledge, publishing it, but they're doing it with a recurring revenue model. But back in the day, we did it with video sales letters, selling a $100 product, selling a $1,000 product. And the challenge that I had was the same one that you ran into is, man, we had a great month this month, dude. We did whatever, $185,000. And then 3 months later, we did 27, and then 95 and 52. And at the end of the year, you look at your tax statement, you go, man, I made some good money, but you're stressed out every month because you don't know where your revenue is coming from next month.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's going to be. And when you're on that, what I call boom and bust income cycle, it can get pretty stressful. It's hard to plan, right? It's hard to know, should I hire this employee? Because I don't know what my revenue is going to be like in 5 months. And so that's when I got into software, would have been back in 2010, kind of in the midst of feeling that challenge of, man, it's stressful. I can't predict where my income's coming. I got to wake up and go out there and hunt in new revenue every time. And I looked at this one little part of our P&L and I go, man, how do we get more of that? We started this little newsletter. It was recurring revenue, and it wasn't a lot of money, but it was something. And it was people that we were able to offer a product to many months, if not a year plus ago. We delivered to it, but we didn't have to sell them over and over again. And we could just focus on delivering a better product. That's when I found software the first time before Carrot. And dude, ever since then, one of my non-negotiables, I wrote down 5 things from that previous entrepreneur 4 or 5 year journey. I go, okay, what are things I don't like? The things I didn't like, man, income was inconsistent. I didn't like that I wasn't having a lot of fun. I didn't like I was doing things in my job that drained my energy that I didn't enjoy. I didn't like that I didn't feel I didn't have a big mission at my core. I took those 5 things, dude, and I go, well, I don't really know what I want, but if I just do the opposite of those, maybe that's it. So I locked them in. My number 1 was consistent, predictable revenue. I wanted to be able to predict 8 months out within a 5% variance what my income was going to be. And I felt, man, if I could do that, maybe entrepreneurship will actually give me freedom. Maybe it will actually remove some stress. And dude, ever since then, that's been a non-negotiable of mine for every business I'm a part of.
It's got to be recurring revenue.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
One thing I'll say is a lot of people listening to this might say, well, dang, I got to quit my career then. You know, I can't keep flipping houses, or I can't keep doing X, Y, Z. And what I would say is, I made a lot of money until this point, you know, just making big chunks of money all the time. And I personally still do it. I still flip houses. We still, you know, do high ticket things, but I can see that the long-term path is better if you can create recurring revenue. That being said, I think if you're broke, it's really hard to build a recurring revenue business.
100%.
So you kind of don't have a choice. You got to make fat chunks of money. Just like what you were doing before you even started this. Like you were making money, even though it was stressful and whatever. And same thing for 100%. Me. It's like, I got to make money today. I'm going to flip. I'm going to do wholesale. I'm going to do whatever I choose. Flip couches. But at some point as an entrepreneur, if you really kind of like, I don't know, do it for a decade and get tired of it. Then maybe think about a recurring revenue strategy. And in real estate, that would be rentals, right?
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say is, dude, I work with a lot of high level investors as you do, through Carrot. And what you'll hear over and over again is I call it the 2 to 3 year turn and burn cycle. Okay. Around 2 to 3 years in, and it's not just wholesaling and flipping, it's other businesses too. What happens is when we start something, right? Let's say you start wholesaling, you start flipping couches, whatever it is. You have something that you're moving away from usually, right? It's some sort of a motivational force. It's a job you don't like. It's an income ceiling that you don't like. It's your old business that you're tired of now. And you're like, man, I don't like this, and it's draining my energy. I want something new. It's people telling you that you're not capable of doing something. We have some sort of motivational force that's driving us and exciting us to move forward. But then what happens is, let's say we get 8 months in, a year in, 2 years in, it's working. Right? We're paying our bills and whatever it is now, that motivational force that originally was the thing that got us going isn't relevant anymore. And this usually happens around the 2 to 3 years. I see so often people in any business, but especially wholesaling and flipping, now they're in maintenance mode. Now they're in running a business mode. And And if they didn't do it the right way and grow through those pain lines the right way to buy back their time in the key areas, now they're not getting energy from their business. Now they're like, I'm going to go do something else. And it usually manifests as distraction. I'm going to start something new. But what if they were to keep some rentals along the way?
Yeah.
And they had some income coming in now, or they invested in some businesses or did something else that's bringing in more revenue, that if they did want to try something new, they're not putting at risk the entire business that got them there. Mm-hmm. But at that 2 to 3 year mark, man, if anyone's feeling that 2 to 3 year turn and burn cycle, the biggest advice I have for people is resist the temptation when possible to try to innovate something outside of your existing business.
Yeah.
Can you look in your existing business, the thing that got you, the thing that's working, and say, okay, how do I make this business amazing to work in again? How do I remove myself from the areas that drain my energy and do the things that give me more energy? How do I innovate this business? Because now you're not starting at zero, you're moving forward. And that requires a refreshing of a vision, a new vision that you're excited about.
Yeah. And even for me, I would add, one of the things I've noticed about great entrepreneurs is they just do the same thing for a really long period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been doing this SaaS company for 10 plus years.
Dude,
now.
I never thought I was gonna.
Yeah.
Never thought I was gonna be in one company for 10 years.
I've been flipping houses now for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And honestly, even if, I don't know, one day I have a huge exit or whatever else, I just don't think I'll ever get out of flipping houses because it's so easy. Well, I don't say it's easy, but it's there.
Yep.
Like, even it might change for me where I just lend hard money out and that's all I do. I just lend out my capital from selling a company, whatever. Right. But like, I'll always be in this industry, one way or another. Cause it's like, dude, I've spent almost my whole life doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least my adult life.
Yeah. And dude, you're good at it. I'm sure there's parts of it you enjoy. Yeah. But there's also parts of it that you don't enjoy, and you've got team members there.
I don't think I enjoy really many parts of it these days, but the team gets it all done. So
there we go.
I enjoy owning the business and the fruit of the business. Yep. And I also enjoy I do enjoy innovating it. Like I do not want to talk to a seller. I do not want to I honestly don't even want to analyze deals or anything, but I enjoy innovating new creative ways to make it better.
Yep.
Hey, what could we do on the marketing side that would get leads cheaper? What could we do over here on a process side that would allow us to get more deals? Like what are people not seeing that are really interesting?
Heck yeah. Dude, and that kind of stuff there for any people who are kind of newer in the entrepreneurial journey, where a lot of us get stuck is there's a few major pain lines, right? Dan Martell, he's been on this podcast. Good friend of mine. I've known Dan for ages. I'm in his Buy Back Your Time book as a bad example. He used a different name in there, but that one's a whole different story. I told Dan when he was coaching me, I'm like, dude, I'm going to take a full month off of work. I'm not going to check in. They're not going to check in with me. And he told me not to. I did it anyway. And then when I came back, then I knew exactly why he told me not to do it. Learned a big lesson. The business was bigger. I lost my edge. I lost my creativity during that month. But the reason I'm bringing it up is Dan talks about buying back your time a lot. And that there's these things in business, things break at 3s and 10s, right? They break at 100,000, 300,000, $1 million, 3 million, 10 million, 30 million.
And I didn't know that.
And it's pretty much like I can talk to a company and, the founder, and they can tell me their problems, and I can pretty accurately predict where they're at in revenue based off of the challenge or the problems they give. There's a couple things that break. So number one, we have to be able to delegate well, right? Anyone who can't delegate can't grow past around $300,000 a year. You might be able to get up to $500,000, maybe 3/4, but it's always going to pull back because you're having a hard time stepping away from delegating the tasks, right? But once you get over $1 million, we have to now delegate like projects, be able to have a person or 2 or 3 who can be able to go take guidance, 10-3, the 10-80-10 principle. Hey, I'm going to give you the first 10% of the guidance. You guys go do the 80% of the work and bring it back. For the last 10%, we'll finish it together.
I never knew that was a rule, but that's what I do.
Dude, and it works. So if your team...
I naturally started doing that, but I just didn't... I'll be like, this is what I want done. Yeah. Just go do it, and then I'll clean it up.
There we go.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is it works so well. But what I found what worked better for me as I would go is I would actually tell my team, hey, here's this thing called the 10-80-10. And we would just say, hey, let's 10-80-10 this. So now they know where I want to be involved.
Yeah. Cause I feel bad because, well, I don't feel bad, but like one of my guys who creates all of our websites, he's always feeling bad. And I'm like, because I'll be like, hey, we need, WealthCon's coming up. Let's get the website done. And, here's the speakers and let's do it. So I'll create it. And then I'm like, send me the website when you've got it done. And he'll get it done. I'm like, perfect. And then I'll go in there and change all this stuff and copy and things. And he's like, dude, I feel bad. Like that you had to change so much and I need to do it better next time. And I'm like, no, there's no way for you to do it better. Like I just need the thing done so I can put the final icing on it.
Do you enjoy that last part? Like, does it give you energy?
I don't know that it gives, I'm just good at it. Like there's no other way to do it. Because I just look at that, something like, well, okay, let's just take WealthCon, for example. We're only doing it once this year. And by the way, for anyone who wants to know, wealthcon.org, July 24th to the 27th. This is actually the first time I've announced it.
Cool. There we go.
Yeah, we got Ed Milet and a bunch of others.
Heck yeah.
But anyways, like I look at that and I say, okay, we're going to promote this event the next 6 months. I'm going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the ads. We're spending hundreds of thousands on the venue. It's probably worth 15, 20 minutes of my time. To go and edit this copy and make sure that it's what we need.
And you're amazing at it. It's one of your unique abilities, probably. Yeah, and that's where the 10-80-10 can work really well. But the challenge with those growth levels is there's a different pain line at each level. So the pain line that you're going to experience at 100,000 to 300,000 is the time management pain line, right? It's oh my gosh, I really am not making enough money right now to be able to hire a bunch of full-time people, but I've probably still got my job maybe, or I just left my job and I'm going full-time in this. And I've got to figure out time management. Let's say you cross over that, the pain line between 300K and $1 million is the delegation pain line. Right. It's being able to just step out and say, I don't have to do everything, but now I need to learn how to actually work with my team and delegate effectively. The 10-80-10 or a principle actually I learned from Dan years ago is called the 1-3-1. Hey, when your team member brings you a challenge, rather than taking the bait and answering it, which, dude, I think us entrepreneurs are guilty of that big time because we're problem solvers, right? We want to solve the problem. So they'll bring a problem, we'll give them an answer, they'll go away. It'll either work or it won't, but there's no accountability now because it was your idea. So instead, hey, they bring a problem. Hey, awesome. What are the 3 ways that you've thought about to solve that? Or maybe they don't know the 3 ways. Well, how long will you need to research that and come back when you want to do it? Great. And they need to bring their one recommendation. If you just start to nail delegation in that 300,000 to $1 million, so you can now buy back your time to focus on the things that drive revenue, the things that you are a performer in. In this phase, dude, your identity as an entrepreneur is a performer, right? I'm really good at 1 or 2 things. These 1 or 2 things drive the business forward. Everything else I need to delegate off. Dude, you cross over $1 million now. This is where a lot of people get stuck. The people I'm coaching in our Epic program at Carrot, they're all doing between 300K and 12 million a year as flippers or wholesalers. And the biggest sticking point once people get over 300K is they're stuck at 1.2 million, 1.5 million, 1.8 million. They might have hit 2, and then they have a major challenge and they end up walking back to 900,000 or 1.1 million. And it's because they need to move out of the identity of a performer, of the person who drives this business forward with your skill set, and into the identity of a builder. Right. We need to build processes, need to build people, need to hire. But I mean, at the end of the day, there's different pain lines, different things you need to delegate. 3 million to 10 million, you're delegating results. 10 million plus, you're delegating strategy. That's where I had my biggest challenge, man. Delegating strategy.
Well, a couple things I want to talk about. So you mentioned this 1-3-1 rule. I like that you're giving names to things that I've done. I just didn't know what I was doing because now I can
comes natural to you, man. Yeah.
Well, I can properly explain it to them now. But one thing I've always taught other leaders, as I said, and I just need cool names. So I've always said, look, don't just answer their question. Make them come up with the solution, right? But the reason I always said that was to help them to start learning to critically think, number one. But number two, I also like when they have the right answer, it now gets more buy-in from them.
Dude,
because it was their answer, not mine. I'm like, you said to do this.
Yeah.
Even though I was going to tell you to do the same thing. It's like, you take ownership now. You said this is your
There's
idea.
real accountability now at that point.
Yeah. And on top of that, even if we don't pick their idea, obviously we can critique it and say, hey, this is why we're going to go with this idea instead.
Yeah.
And they're like, they at least feel heard, number one. But then number two, when we, actually, so there's like 5 reasons I do this. So those are a few. But the last reason is sometimes they bring ideas that I don't even think about. And I'm like, that's actually a good idea. And then it'll spark a new idea.
Yep.
And then we'll do it.
Dude, I was in LA this last week.
Oh man.
And was there.
That's crazy.
Dude, I flew in on Tuesday night, and was going right there along the Palisades.
Yeah. And
I knew the fire was going on, but it was huge from where we were flying in. It was wild.
Like you were able to still get through the streets and stuff?
Yeah. So I flew, I saw the Palisades when I flew over.
Oh, okay. You weren't
I was down in Irvine. Yeah. I was in Irvine way away from all the commotion. But do you know Sharon Shavista?
Yeah.
So Sharon was down there. He and I were connecting at an event with Craig Ballantyne. And Sharon was talking about his leadership principles and how he moves fast, right? He's like, the name of the game is speed. Is the faster we're able to move as leaders, the better we're going to be able to grow as businesses. And one of the things that he does is something that I'm sure you do, and something that I've done over the years as well, is when we're having those types of decisions, one of the things that I did tweak is I've started to not, when they bring the ideas back, if I think that the idea maybe isn't a good idea, right? The thing that pops up, and Sean does this as well, he says, is this a one-way door decision or a two-way door decision? A one-way door decision is, hey, if we're stepping through this door, this decision is going to be a big one. It's going to be hard to go back the other way, right? It's maybe letting go of a team member. It's a big brand change. It's a big product change. It's it's some big decision that can't be walked back. The two-way door decisions are, well, we can walk through that thing, and if we get to the other side, we realize, it didn't do what we wanted to do, we can walk back with not a lot of issues. So if the team members seem like they brought those ideas and they thought through them well, and I'm asking questions to figure out how they thought through them, how they found those solutions, who they talked to, and I go, yeah, it might not be the way that I would do it, but they thought through it well, and it's reasonable. If it's a two-way decision, I'm like, hey, awesome, Mark. Dude, you know what? If that's the recommendation you want to make, and you did think through these things, how will you know when it's working or not? By what date do you want to make a determination that it is or not, to whether you can shift gears? Okay, this, awesome. Where do you need me? And you can still talk about the concerns. I've got these concerns with it. So how are you going to make sure to bait those things? Awesome, Mark. Give it a go. Let me know if you need any help. And then that way they can learn. They can learn the same thing to get the same conviction that you have and why that wasn't a good idea. But it was a two-way decision, and they were able to walk through that door and come back if it didn't work out. That's been really cool and helpful, because I would always be the guy who would just go, no, I think my idea is the better idea. Yeah. And let's do that. And I started to erode away some of the growth opportunity that our team members would have, because it was always Trevor's idea. Yep. It's hard though, man. Leadership it's one of the most amazing but hard journeys that I've been on. But dude, just the fruit of it when you lead well and you have amazing people is way cool. Yeah. So you mentioned that 3 to 10 million, the main problem is, did you say delegation? So the thing that at every stage is delegation. Yeah. The challenge is we just need to delegate different things. And so 3 to 10 million, we have to delegate results. And what I mean by that is we have to have someone who is capable of leading. Yeah, you might still be mapping the strategy. You're probably setting the goals, right? But then giving those goals to someone and collaborating with them to say, hey, here's the strategy. What are your best ideas? Let's kind of mash it into a plan together. And now they're fully accountable for making that plan happen. They're accountable for the execution of it, the reporting, the scorecard, the solving the problems. They are on the hook for driving results in a key area. It could be results in marketing, could be results in product, could be results in, whatever it is, sales, acquisitions. So we have to learn how to hire. We have to learn how to train. We have to change our cadence as a leader on how we meet with that person on the weekly basis or monthly basis to be able to drive it. But delegating results at 3 to 10 is what's key. It's hard though, dude. Yeah. And then 10 million plus is strategy. And that's where I hit my biggest probably pain line of all. Tell me about that. So once we got close to 10 million a year in revenue at Carrot, the thing that got us there were all these things I was doing, right? And I don't want that to come across like I'm saying that the team didn't do anything. The team did the majority of the things of the day-to-day work, right? But the key strategic decisions that got us there, the products we were going to build, the markets we were going into, the messaging of the product, the major hooks in our marketing campaigns, the approach of how we're going to do customer, serve our customers, that came from me. The challenge is now I start to have leaders, leaders in marketing, leaders in sales, and on the customer experience side of things, leaders in product and engineering, and leaders in operations. You have all these leaders now. And I started to get spread thin on strategy.
Yeah.
Where I should have been diving deeper and getting way deep on the marketing or go-to-market strategy. I didn't get deep enough there. And I probably thought that the director who was hired to do that, maybe they were going to step up into that. And then the same thing happened over on product, and the same thing happened over here on the customer success team. And I would just be trying to bounce back and forth. In hindsight, I was trying to plug strategy gaps because there wasn't clear written strategy on how are we going to do each one of these things. And I didn't hire people at a high enough level to step in and actually own strategy.
So you think that these people were more so just, I don't want to call them order takers, but it's like, hey, this is what we're going to do, and they'll go execute it.
Yeah.
But they're not on that creative type level to be able to think and innovate.
Exactly. They're more of that director range.
Yeah.
Okay. Where you start to get up in strategy and owning strategy is like the VP range. It's the executive range. And dude, I didn't know that. I didn't know the difference between a really good manager and a director and let's say a VP or an executive. And what I've learned since is when you're, let's say, around the 3 to 5 million, you really, really need to be thinking about, if you don't already have that person, you need to really be thinking about who is the first true executive that I'm going to put in place in a key part of the business that I don't want to own.
Yeah.
That maybe I'm good at it, but I'm really good at these and I get energy from these. I'm good at this, but I don't get energy from this. So I want to be able to have an executive who is capable of stepping in that I can delegate strategy to, which means I've got to have confidence that they are thinking creatively in that area, that they've shown that they can drive outsized results. And on the executive side, Ryan, the big key in Dan Martell was talking to me about this a couple of years back. He goes, Trevor, the way you'll know if that person is a true executive, like a true VP or a true C-level, is if they're an independent builder. You can set a goal with them. They can now take that goal and go build and make the goal happen. And all you had to do is say, hey, we're going here. This is the goal we're moving towards, right? We need to get to whatever, X amount of new customers a month, or we need to get X amount of new deals per month, or whatever it is. And then you can say, hey, do we align on this goal? Yes or no? Let's negotiate. Bam, we're aligned on it. Awesome. Do you need anything from me? What resources do you need? Any blocks that you see? Nope. Great. Go. And now let's meet on the monthly and weekly basis to see how we're going. I didn't do that, dude. And so that was hard because I kept our directors in their roles because I kept flying in and making all these decisions when things would go off. And when I would fly in and make the decisions, the accountability went away.
Yeah, they're not having to figure out how to solve it.
Yeah, so then I just stayed with amazing people I love to death, but I stayed with people in those roles for too long.
So let me ask you this. Okay, first off, how many employees do you guys have today?
Just over 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have about 40.
Yep.
And with that, how many of these quote unquote directors, let's say a director would be, you tell them what to do and they can do it, but they're not going to like innovate.
Yeah.
How many directors could become, and be built up into a true C-level executive?
Dude, it's such a good question, man. And that's what I thought I was going to do during that phase. I thought every single one of them, I'm going to coach them. I'm going to support them. We got coaches for everybody. Yeah. Right. We got a coach for this discipline and for that discipline. Everyone got coaches. And at least for the people that I had in the teams, there was only one out of the 5 who was able to step into that. Got it. 20%. And that might be just because that's the group that I had. Right. But But I can say that the old adage that people say of what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah.
And in the SaaS world anyway, people will say the people that got you to 1 million or that got you to 10 million are not the ones who are going to get you to 20 or 30.
Yeah.
In general, I found that to be true, that it's very rare that you have a person from day one or sub 1 million that's the right person to take you from 10 to 20 or 10 to 30.
They're equally growing at your rate.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's what it would
They've got to be. And there are people out there like that, which is amazing.
But you're saying now you got to go out and get experience. I mean, so I had Tommy Mello on, and him and I have talked a lot over the years, and same thing. He was just like, and he's at hundreds of millions a year. But he just said, it was all people at that point. I just had to get people who had already done this, had grown companies to hundreds of millions, and I just poached them, and that's what we're doing.
Dude, and there's great people out there with our COO that we hired 2 years ago. We recruited her. We created an internal recruiting engine, and it was cold outreach on LinkedIn. And we interviewed a bunch of COOs, and her name is Angie. She's the gal who runs the company, does an amazing job, and she stepped into that role. But it's not hard to do, but they're out there. Those people are out there.
Yeah. So you mentioned that in 2021 something happened. What happened?
Yeah, dude. So in our industry, in this space, in real estate investing, I think all of us grew in 2021, right?
Yeah.
All of us did. So there was the free COVID money that was coming in, and
great years.
Oh, huge. And I think at that time we knew that the COVID money was a part of it, but I think that we thought that our magic that we had on our fingertips.
Yeah, we were just so good.
and I went to realize later
I'm an expert in everything.
Yeah, that there were some dynamics that happened that we didn't plan out well. But so we had a lot of growth.
Yeah.
And we had a big vision. And at the end of 2020, we hit our 5-year vision. I wrote a 5-year vision in 2016. We wrote goals in there. We wrote how we're going to get there, how we're going to change the industry, how we're going to, help attract more motivated sellers than any other company in the world. And we've done that on a monthly, an annual basis. And we hit almost every single point to the T at the end, like literally December of 2020. So we're looking at this going, man, we're just on fire. We're growing. And so we were going to then hire ahead. We're going to hire ahead and go for the future. So we hired, I think, 25, 26 people that year. And so we went from hiring 2, 3, 4, 5 people a year to now all of a sudden, at that time, doubling our staff.
What did you have before?
We probably had around 25 to 30.
So you went from 25 to 50-ish?
Around there.
Yeah.
The most that we've had in the company is right around 60. So 55 to 60.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of people. And that's the time when I added directors in every spot, not really knowing what a real director needs, or not knowing what we needed, honestly. That was 100% on me.
Yeah.
So
by the way, during that time, I went from like having 10, 20-ish people to getting to 100 people within a couple of years.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we hired all these people, and it's amazing people. I think culture match, they're all spot on. But hindsight 2020, we didn't have the right roles, the right level of leader in some spots. And so when you have all these leaders, you got to give leaders a budget.
Yeah.
And so we gave the leaders a budget. They hired to those budgets, man.
They never are under, I don't like the government.
No, they hired to those budgets. But what we didn't do is a good job then with accountability of making sure that the outcomes that we wanted them to drive with those budgets, the results happened. And those next 2 to 3 years, while we continue to have some level of growth for the next, season, dude, I learned so much as a leader.
You wasted so much money, I bet.
Oh, millions.
I think about that all the time over the last few years now. And I look back in hindsight and I'm like, gosh, what a waste.
Millions, dude.
Money spent that just could have been so easily avoided, dude, in hindsight.
I would love to have the money back, of course, but I don't regret any of it. Yeah. I don't regret any of it, because around that time, I think you and I were on a phone call the first time we chatted, a year ago or so, and I told you about the opportunities that we had around that time to exit Carrot.
Yeah,
and we were fielding offers that were 65 million cash from big PE companies. Alpine Software Group, one of the big daddies out there. They just raised a $4 billion fund at the start of last year, I think it was. And their head guy, not like one of their analyst guys, but the head guy, he and I were on phones and they were making serious offers. And I didn't take them. And I literally thought 10 minutes about them. And then it was out of my brain.
Why? Were you just so focused on growing, or you just didn't want to sell?
Yeah.
Like, did you think you're going to hold the company forever? Like, what was your thought process?
Yeah. So at that time, Ryan, we were growing so fast. I'm going, man, yeah, we could sell for 65 million.
Undervalued.
But in a year, it's going to be 100 million.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it's kind of the whole concept of there's, what do they say? A bird in the bush, or two birds in the bush, or one in the hand, or whatever. I wasn't recognizing, number one, what that opportunity was, and that the market could adjust. And that's something I knew the real estate market was going to adjust. What I wasn't predicting was the capital market was going to adjust big time, which drives all valuations down. And what I wasn't predicting was that we weren't going to execute as well as we needed to on our strategy. We had the right strategy. The strategy was there. Exactly what's happening in the real estate market is what we predicted 4, 5, 6 years ago. Everything is happening the way that we thought. We just didn't execute. So risk of execution, I think, is a big thing that us as founders need to think about. That if we have an opportunity to go for growth or for an exit or whatever it is, we have to ask the question, well, what are the risks? Like, what's the worst case? And one of those cases we all need to look at is, are we going to execute? And what's the chance that we will execute to get to that ideal outcome? Second thing, man, was I've done a lot of identity work this last couple of years. I've really found my identity in Christ instead of at Trevor as an entrepreneur. And at that time, dude, I didn't sell because I didn't realize it then, but Carrot was me. I was Carrot. I was like, well, great. I got this pile of money. I'm still going to do some work, but I still see this vision. We can go do some things. I'm probably going to start another company like Carrot anyway. And I didn't decouple my vision from my identity from the company enough. So I couldn't sell it because it was like selling myself.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't think about it for more than 10 minutes.
Wow.
So this last couple of years, as I'd then been looking at the vision for the future and going, okay, well, where do I want to go? What impact do I want to make in this world?
Yeah.
Do I need $100 million? The answer is no. Like
60 million can make a lot of impact too.
Yeah, 100%, dude. And it was all ego. Honestly, it was the only reason at that time that, and I did say I told the guy, I said, I'll sell if it was in the 9 figures.
Because you wanted that 9-figure title.
Which is crazy, right? Because it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. And so I've had a chance to work through that and just really, like I said, just root my identity in Christ. And
were you a Christian before, or were you lukewarm, or how do you think it was?
Yeah, no, I was a Christian before. I think just got caught by the world, man.
Yeah.
Got caught by the world, got brought in by temptation of more and greater.
Yeah. Fame, just everyone knows you sold a company for. I've thought about that, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, that's a good notch on the belt. It'll help my influence and whatever, right?
Yep. And another thing that popped up for me too was I was justifying a lot because I'm going, dude, we give a lot of money away to amazing causes. We make a real big difference, which we do. We started our Carrot Impact Fund in 2019, put $500,000 into that fund. We donate 1% of our gross revenue every single quarter. We've donated millions and millions of meals across the country and so many other causes. And so I think it was easy for me to say, well, this company is that conduit for good, which it is. But what I didn't think about, Ryan, was there going to be a point when I would want to kind of move out of my role in Carrot and I would have to decouple my identity from this, and could I still make that impact in another way? And since then, dude, I'm so clear where we're going, why we're going there. And this year I'm transitioning out more and more the day to day and into the greater vision.
I love that. So obviously, like in 21, valuations were at all-time highs and money's just flying everywhere.
Yeah.
And then we got through a recession really the last couple of years, and just talking to lots of people who've looked at selling their companies, they've all been like, it's crazy. Like, I ain't selling right now.
Yep.
Hopefully things get better, when Trump's in and then valuations get back up. So now with so much more experience under your belt, really the last few years, is the vision now to build it again, to sell and tell me what that is, at least financially. I know the vision's far bigger than just a business.
Dude, for me, I'm insanely pumped when Carrot is an amazing product, helping to change the industries that we're in, profitable well into the 7 figures per year. And it's a business that I would want to hold on forever. And so that's what we're doing today. We're going, let's build a business that we would want to run forever, because it's profitable and it's a great product and great people and you're having fun doing it. And I think the challenge I had before, Ryan, is because we were growing so fast. There's a lot of spots in the business at that time that drained my energy. And so, let's look into 2022 now. I was really going, oh my gosh, maybe I should sell the company at that point because some things got harder.
Yeah.
And I was letting myself...
Maybe it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cut my losses.
And a lot of my energy was getting drained during a season for about 6 months.
That season, by the way, was so hard on everyone in real estate.
Yeah.
The moment rates doubled, it was just like...
Dude,
what does everyone do?
And I think, at least for me... a lot of us wouldn't admit it. Like we thought, well, there's one little tweak I need to make and we'll get that growth back or whatever it is. But dude, what we're moving towards right now is having an amazing business that we don't want to sell, but is sellable. Yeah. And I think that's like the dream for all of us. Right. And
options.
And I think the biggest thing is making sure that we're stepping into doing work that energizes us more often than not. I've got a barometer, kind of an internal barometer that I take a checkpoint at the end of every week and I go, okay, 80% is kind of my number. I go, did 80% of the things I did this week give me energy, or did they drain my energy? And if I'm below 80, then I go, okay, well, let's do what I call an energy audit. It's a line down the middle of the paper. I made this in 2012 when I was in that previous kind of challenging point, and line down the middle of the paper. And before that, what people would tell me to do is write all the things that make me money on one side and all the things that don't make me money on the other side. And then you write all the things, and then all the things that make you money, you should do more of those, they told me. And then all the things that don't make you money, you should delegate them all.
Yeah.
Right. And I did that. And I grew myself into a job that I hated because I was doing things that made me money, but drained my energy.
Right. We want to do both.
Exactly. So after that, I do the line down the middle of the paper. I'm like, what if I just look at energy moving forward? What gives me energy? What drains my energy?
Yeah.
And what if every quarter I just prune off the things that drain my energy and either say no to them or delegate them? And then I just add things that give energy, even if they don't make money.
Like golf.
Like golf, dude, right there, which I wish we were doing this afternoon.
I know.
I'll make it happen the next trip down.
But by the way, that's like why I wrote the book Wealthy Way.
Yeah.
Because it's like all we really care about, for me anyways, is, I mean, dude, life's short.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, eternity is far longer. So
yeah,
knowing where you're going is the most important thing. And that's why everyone needs to come to Christ. Yep. But I think also too, while we're here, it's like, we just had a mastermind last week and they were asking, I actually, for the first time ever, I counted my hours. And so I did this presentation called The Week of a CEO, and I'll probably put it on YouTube. So if I have by now, I'll link to it down below. But essentially I found out that 60% of my time I was spent working. Now, what I say with working is not necessarily just business work, but personal development, working out, like things that are actual work.
Yep.
Faith, reading my Bible, praying, like these to me are like work. You have to actually do these things.
Yeah.
And then the other 60 hours a week were spent, I would just call leisurely. And to me, they don't require work.
Yeah.
I'm just playing golf. I'm watching TV. Hanging out with my kids. We're just chilling. Right. And then the other, it's not the exact math, but the rest of the time was just sleeping. It's about 50-ish hours a week. So I'm like, okay, so I really work 60 hours a week. I chill 60 hours a week, and I sleep the other third.
Yeah.
And what I found was when I was telling them that, they're like, wow, I just feel guilty, like not working. I feel guilty, like watching Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, why? When are you going to watch it?
Yeah.
Like, when's enough?
Yep.
Do you have to be a millionaire to watch Netflix? Do you have to, I mean, I get it. Broke people watch Netflix and, you know, they watch too much of it.
Yeah.
But then like these guys also go on the extreme of only doing things that make them money.
Dude. And that sounds miserable to me.
Miserable. Why even have money?
Have you read Die with Zero?
Yeah.
Dude,
great book.
When I read that book the first time, a good friend of mine, Daniil Clayman, a big multifamily guy in Richmond, Virginia, he's read this book a ton of times. And he kept telling me, Trevor, you got to read this book.
It's good.
And I'm like, no, I assumed I knew what was in the book. Dude, he kind of broke my brain in that respect of, I'll give one thing, you know, that I learned here on this podcast here is, let's say you die with $500,000 in the bank, right? And for round numbers, you earn $50,000 a year. And that means that's 10 years worth of your work life that went into earning that $500,000. We're just using round numbers, right? There's gonna be a bunch of math whizzes out there saying, well, what about taxes? What about this? Okay, guys, let's just use math here. So that means that person worked for 10 years and didn't get to trade that money for experiences or impact.
Yep.
Right. They didn't get to use it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, and I was in this bucket before, it's like, no, it's gonna get donated to charities and my kids will get it and things like that. And what he argues for in the book, which I love so much, is he goes, well, why don't you just do that now?
Yeah.
Right. Do that now.
Yeah.
Donate to those charities now while you're here.
Get to see it.
You can see it.
Go on the vacation with your kids. Buy your kids the house now. Why they got to wait till you die?
Because he said the average person, when they pass away, if they have any level of wealth, their kids are in their 40s, 50s, or 60s. And if they're up in their 50s or 60s, they probably don't need that much. Yeah, I'm sure they'll take it and they'll like it. Yeah. But they probably don't need it at that point as much as maybe they did in their 20s or to start a business or their 30s to get a home.
The other point he brings up in that book that I'm glad you brought that book up because I haven't explained it in a long time, but I definitely live by it. And the other part he brings up is, okay, obviously in your younger years, you're in your best shape, you've got the most energy, all this stuff, right? And so, you know, for me to golf right now, I'm probably going to be the best I can be.
Dude. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope I'm golfing when I'm 60, 70 and all this stuff. But dude, golfing right now at 35, hitting bombs.
Yeah.
This is great.
Oh, yeah.
So am I really just going to keep grinding at 35 and then, you know, just build enough arbitrary wealth and then finally use it? Yeah. Right? Like that's dumb. But then the other point he brings up is the value of a memory. And I had never thought about this, especially logical business-minded people are like, well, an asset. What is an asset? An asset is something that has value.
Yep.
And so we think of assets as cash and real estate and stocks and bonds and companies and all these things.
Yeah.
What about a memory? What is the value of a memory? And this idea of, man, a lot of us can go back in the piggy bank of our memories and say, man, that time we spent on that family vacation, wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yep.
And you look at it and you're like, well, what did that memory cost? That memory cost $5,000 to go on that vacation.
Yeah.
Do you think that memory has brought you more joy and fulfillment than the $5,000? And the part about memories that's interesting is the earlier you get them, the longer you enjoy them.
Yeah.
So if I had this memory when I was 20 years old and I have it the rest of my life, man, I get to enjoy that memory for 60 more years.
Dude. What's he called? Memory dividends, I think.
Yeah. And it makes perfect sense. Whereas, I go do something epic when I'm 70.
Yeah.
I only get to enjoy the memory of it, dude, for however long.
So my on that topic there, my dad passed away at the end of November, just recently, and he had brain cancer, and so this would have been end of 2023. Would have been end of August 2023. We got a phone call, and my dad is like the superhero guy, right? He played back in the day for the A's and the Mariners. Didn't make it up to the show, but he played and he threw out his arm pretty early in the game. Entrepreneur, you know, a guy that just was literally the strongest guy in the room all the time. And he got a brain tumor, and it was terminal from day one. It's the type of brain tumor that is terminal 100% of the time. And his was inoperable. We took him to all the big spots around the country. And when you're faced with something like that, you really have to reevaluate things, right? And in that moment, back in August of 2023, I remember for years, Ryan, I've got this thing called the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. I sat down in a coffee shop 6-7 years ago and wrote down like, what is the reason I'm an entrepreneur? Why do I grow businesses? Like, what's the thing in the center of this Venn diagram? And the center for me was freedom and impact. It was, I want to have freedom. Well, freedom for what? Right. And at that time I thought, well, it was freedom to be able to do the things I want to do, to be able to take time off or be able to do whatever I want to do. And then there's the impact side of it. And then you have to say, well, for who? Right. And so over the years, I've grown my businesses in that way to buy back more freedom. It wasn't until my dad got cancer, and especially till the last month of his life, myself, my younger brother, who's an entrepreneur in Nashville, he moved in. We all moved in with my parents again for that last 6 weeks.
Wow.
And my COO, I talked with her, and I was thinking, okay, I'm just going to cut my hours back. I don't work a lot anyway, like maybe 30 hours a week. And so I was going to go, well, I'll still do these meetings. She goes, Trevor, I already met with the whole team. We went through any project you're a part of. We're just planning on you not being here the rest of the year. And this was at the end of October. And I go, no. I'll for sure I'll be in December and da-da-da. She goes, no, Trevor, you take the time. If you come back in December, great. If not, we got this. I'm making some decisions that I feel confident in. They may not be the same ones you would make, but none of them are one-way decisions. And you go and be. In that moment, I finally had more clarity in what freedom actually meant for me. It was like, freedom is that you can be anywhere that your loved ones need you. You can be anywhere that you need to be and not have to tap into business at all. I didn't tap into business at all in November, barely in December. And I learned a lot. The team was capable. You let people make decisions. They're not going to be the same ones you make, but a lot of them, most of them were the right ones. And dude, this is where it gets wild. So the 3 years ago, I get a book in the mail. Didn't order the book. Had no clue who sent the book. I look at the cover. It looked like a romance novel or something like that. And I go, I'd put it off to the side. So then one day I had to do something with it. My wife's like, hey, Trevor, here's your pile of stuff. You got to get off the counter. So I look at the book and I had to do something with it. Do I throw it away? Do I put it on the shelf? Do I read it? So I flipped it over, and on the back of the book, I saw it was a business guy. So this book is called Chasing Daylight. And it was the guy, Eugene O'Kelly. He was the CEO of KPMG, the big bookkeeping and accounting company, right? Like multi-billion-dollar company. He worked there for 30 years, CEO, I think, for 10 or 15. And he had brain cancer. Terminal brain cancer. He died in 4 months. This book was the book that he wrote in his last 4 months of life, reflecting as a high performing, high achieving guy on life, a man of faith too. So fast forward 2 to 3 years. I mean, that book changed my life because in there, he talks about perfect moments. So it's kind of a similar type of a thing as the Die with Zero book that talks about the memories. He says, at any point we can decide to create more perfect moments in our life. And he says the perfect moments are the times when time slows down. It's when you can squeeze 10 years of memories in 1 year by slowing down, by having that conversation and having a more deep conversation, by reaching out to the people that you care about, by just slowing down, and that server who gives you that meal, like actually just appreciating them and talking to them. Because we can maximize our perfect moments throughout the day and have 10 years worth of life in a year. So my dad got the same type of brain cancer. I still don't know today who sent me that book. I have no clue. I didn't order it. He got the same type of brain cancer. And we lived so many darn perfect moments that year, dude. We lived 10 years worth of life in that year. He's a big classic car guy. I took him to these amazing classic car collections. Yeah. We went to car shows together, brought his cars there. We had so many amazing moments. And so anyone listening to this podcast, don't wait for you or someone in your family to get that diagnosis before you do what Ryan said, like slow down, create those memories, create those memory dividends, create those perfect moments, because that's why we're in business. Yeah. We're in business for that freedom and for the impact, not to chase after a number where there's always a higher number. There's always a higher number, dude.
Wait, there's no amount of rentals I need. There's no numbers, financial freedom number.
Dude, as long as we're what I do with my students, like write down the vision. Like, what's your ideal average day? What's that not the perfect day? Not if you love the Rolling Stones, it's not partying with the Rolling Stones. And it's like, what's your ideal average day? You could live this day and be insanely pumped if you had to every day. and then ask, how much is that day going to cost?
Yep.
Right. What's that life cost? What's the house? What's the car? What's that going to cost? Once we've gotten over that number, everything else may have diminishing returns unless we have a real reason to up our vision.
Yeah.
If we start to upgrade our identity, because I found, Ryan, your business will never outgrow your identity. Mm-hmm. Your business will never outgrow your identity. I've got a good friend back in Roseburg, Oregon, where I live, small town. He's the CEO of a 9-figure company. One of my best friends. If he came into my company, which is not a 9-figure a year company, and ran it, that business would have no choice but to grow, because he's the identity. He is a person who is a 9-figure entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. The business will grow. If I go in to run his 9-figure company, it probably has no choice but to shrink until I up-level my identity up to that spot. So guys, figure out what you want, like who you want to be, where you want to go, what's that going to cost you to live that life, and then build the business to that. Anything over that may be diminishing returns.
Yeah, I agree. And I've thought about this a lot because, so one thing that I'm big on obviously is living the wealthy way. And it's this idea that, we want to make sure that we're checking all the boxes in all areas of life. Yep. We want to have great faith, great health, great financial situation, great relationships. And so many people just really only focus on the finance side, especially entrepreneurs. And, we kind of get in this mindset of, well, I'm just working now for, once I get this payoff later, then I'll chill out.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you'll never chill out.
100%, dude.
Once you've developed, you start working the same way for 5 years, 10 years, you all of a sudden just turn it off. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's like the quicker you can learn this now, it will always be this way. And people ask me that, they're like, well, did you, because I'm famous for saying, I work 9 to 5 here at the office. Don't work on the weekends. And that's what I do. Like, well, you do that now. And I'm like, no, it's what I've been doing for the last 10 years. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, when I didn't even have a lot of money. It's what I did. And guess what? I've enjoyed life tremendously. I've gotten to travel and play baseball. I've gotten to spend tons of time with my wife. My kids are young. They're 5 and under. I get to see them every day, have dinner with them every day.
Right now, man.
Yeah. I have every excuse to like not be in it. I'm so busy. I got so many events and so much social media stuff, and I'm running companies, but yet I still just do it. And, I've gotten to maintain my health. I get to golf. I get to go on vacations. I get to live what you said, your dream life. And honestly, for me anyways, my dream life is more so about time. And it's like, that's more important to me than anything, right? Now, I would say the secondary things become, okay, how much can you spend with that time? Okay, cool. What house can I have? What car can I have? How extravagant of vacations can we go on? Like, that has leveled up as my finances have leveled up. But even when I didn't have a lot of money, I was making less than 100,000. I still lived this way with just different financial parameters. So my wife and I, going out for a nice meal was a $40 dinner.
Oh, dude, I remember those days. Yeah.
And to me, those are such great memories. We talk about it all the time. Like, man, remember when that was date night and it was the best. We have a funny joke now. There's like restaurants we used to eat that we just thought were the best restaurants in the world. I remember like Maggiano's. Okay. Maggiano's was like, I took her there on Valentine's Day one time. We're like, we can't believe food is this good. And it was, the meal was like $100. And then I would go online and get a coupon for $20 off 100. So it'd be like an $80 meal Valentine's. This was like when we first started dating or married, whatever. And now in hindsight, it's so funny because I've experienced like, $1,000 dinners. And I'm like, okay, Maggiano's ain't that great. All right. But man, it was great.
It's exactly what you guys needed back then, right?
Yeah. I've got, but the experience is the same.
Exactly.
Right? Like I got to experience that with very little money and get to eat a high class meal. Now I go eat a high class meal at $500 for dinner and I get the same experience today. Of like, wow, we're going to a really nice dinner. Dude. Like we got to really prep for this.
I've got this sticky note that says, remember when you wanted what you already have. And
Maggiano's.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something I've got to continually think about, that sometime back in the past, whether it's a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 or 15 years ago, like the life that I have right now is exactly Like I couldn't have even dreamed
Yep.
of some of those things 10 years ago. Yet it's easy as an entrepreneur to get caught up in what we don't have, right? It's easy to forget to have gratitude. This morning, dude, before I came here, well, actually the last 2 days, I flew in from LA Saturday morning. And I'm like, I'm going to spend the weekend here doing the opposite of what most people do in Vegas. I went to church yesterday, and I got an awesome room at a hotel, which with an amazing view. And I go, I'm just going to spend a day and a half wrapping up my personal planning, just sitting in gratitude, man, just like getting myself in that spot. Because it's easy as an entrepreneur not being gratitude.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me. But because we're always like Dan Sullivan calls it the gap in the gain.
Yep.
We're usually looking out there like there's a gap between where I think I want to be, this ideal self or this ideal business or revenue, and where I am now.
Yeah.
And if we sit in the gap, dude, it's hard because even when you're doing amazingly well, we start to feel a sense of lack.
Yeah.
Instead of the sense of abundance and gratitude.
Yeah.
And dude, when you think of those moments like that, Maggiano's, go, dude, that's such a moment of just gratitude because number one, that was an amazing memory.
Yeah.
You were probably really proud to be able to splurge on that meal back then. Number two,
what sealed the deal.
Exactly, man. and number two on it, you're like, dude, you know, I'm so grateful for what I already have, and I'm grateful for the ability to go out there and add more value to the world, and then be a good steward of whatever comes back to me. And if more comes back, amazing.
Yeah.
I get to be a better steward of that and help change the world more.
I remember when I was playing baseball, I never could go out and eat, really.
Yeah.
We were making $1,200 a month. And so I always made chicken and rice. So I would just batch chicken and rice. And eating Chipotle was like a really big treat back then. And every time I'd eat it, you know, it's like, this is great. Give me double tortilla, double rice, like everything. And I remember one day thinking, if I could ever just eat Chipotle whenever I want, I'll have made it.
There we go.
That was the bar.
Can you?
Yeah, I can eat Chipotle whenever I want. That's great.
That's awesome, man.
That was the thing. I was like, dude, if I never had to worry about covering a Chipotle meal and making a decision on whether or not I could have double chicken or even just buy the meal, I'll have made like really good money.
Dude. So this conversation, this is the stuff I love, man. Like I could talk websites and online leads and all that stuff for hours, but this is the stuff that I'm passionate about the most. Because I think when you're an entrepreneur and you go through those challenges, and at least for me, where the company a couple times in my past 15 years has kind of grabbed me, right? We have to start pulling back and going. A question popped in my mind 2 years ago, Ryan. I was sitting there during that phase where things were kind of a little bit harder. And I was going, okay, business is still good, still profitable, still amazing team, a vision that's still big and huge and we're excited about. And I was feeling bad about myself, and not depressed or anything, just like wasn't feeling light. Like my feeling is when it's light, it's right. And things didn't feel light. They felt kind of heavy. And so a question popped in my mind. It's like, well, what did you hire your business to do for you? Because we hire employees, we hire contractors, we hire people to do things for us, right? And we expect an outcome. Yeah. Where I'm going to hire you to deliver this outcome, this thing that I want to happen. If that doesn't happen, then we're going to make a change. And what can happen as entrepreneurs, we get so used to our current state of, like you were saying, of working 60 hours a week or whatever it is, not having the boundaries that you've created. Yep. We get used to this. And then we start to resent the business. We start to hit those pain lines. When those pain lines happen, the very last thing we want to do is step into those pain lines further. And oftentimes it's driving more revenue, picking up that phone, answering that email, making that phone call, selling that product that creates more pain. Yeah. So we avoid it. Yeah. Right. So we're self-sabotaging ourselves into the business. If we would just pull back and say, what did I originally hire this business to do for me? Yeah. We hired our businesses to do something, and we let these businesses hire us. Yeah. Okay. And so that's the challenge I would have for everyone is like, what have you hired the business to do? Is it doing it? If not, what do we need to change? Because that's the only reason the business exists, to drive your vision forward and make the impact you want to make. Yeah. Not to drive you into the ground relentlessly. And I have had that happen with a lot of real estate investors over the years. Yeah. You know, they flip, they hold, especially the last couple of years when it's tough. Like, dude, I'm just tired of it. I'm not going to do this business anymore. And I'm like,
dude, it ain't the business. Like it's not the act of flipping that you don't like.
Yep.
It's all these things you do every day. I'm like, yeah, I don't like talking to sellers either. Okay. You think I want to cold call all day?
Yeah.
No. If I had to do that, I would have quit real estate a decade ago too.
Yeah. Dude, they hit a pain line.
Yeah. I'm like, you're just doing things you don't like.
Exactly.
It's not the business that's the problem. You just need people to do the things you don't want to do.
And dude, what's going to happen, because I did this for 3 businesses before Carrot, is you hit a certain pain line. I got really comfortable with the business that did between $300,000, $700,000 a year. I could do that almost in my sleep up to a certain point.
Yeah.
But dude, I hit the pain line. I didn't know pain lines existed back then. I didn't know things broke at 3s and 10s.
Yeah.
But if we don't solve that pain line and upgrade our identity, and then upgrade that vision and delegate at the right next level, then we're always going to get pulled back down to that level that we have not yet solved.
Yeah.
And so for that person, as an example, for me, I'll give my example. For me, I would get a business up to $200,000-$300,000 a year, maybe $400,000 a year. Then I would get distracted after 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't because there was an opportunity. It's because I didn't push through that pain line to learn and grow who I was becoming, so I could be capable of running a business that could be $1 million plus.
Yeah.
And those guys there, I talk to them every day at Carrot. Right. And it's like, well, the first thing is, has anyone ever grown a business past where it is right now and in your industry and been happy with it?
The answer is yes.
100% yes. So then the next question is, okay, if they have, we just need to figure out what they changed. What mindset did they change? What new skills did they adopt?
Yeah.
You know, what did they do to drive through that pain line? Because we have to realize, if we pull back and are tempted by the pain line to self-sabotage or scale back to what's comfortable or get distracted, if we're tempted by those, then we didn't give ourselves a chance to grow through that, to increase, our identity, to increase our skill sets.
Yeah.
So we're always going to be hitting that same pain line in the next business. The next business is going to happen again.
Yep.
Then you're going to have the same feeling. You're going to start something new. It's going to happen. And you're going to be on this continual thing like this, instead of going up, man, let's recalibrate, bam, and let's innovate up.
Real estate investors, I found a brand new way to create cash flow that's better than anything else I've ever done. It's better than rental properties, Airbnb, my flipping business, multifamily. It's the best thing we've done yet. It is building an automated wholesale business. Now you might be saying, Ryan, how do you build an automated wholesale business? Well, what if you had the same exact leads that I get every single month? What if you had a sales script that was so easy to close deals over the phone that you could do it all across the country? And what if you could sell your deals directly on the MLS without a real estate license and without having to actually own the property and getting top dollar? Well, we do that with this new method. And I made an 11-minute video where I go over how it all works, how you can start doing it today. So if you want to go see that video, go to wealthyinvestor.com, go click the case study and see what I'm talking about.
Okay, so let's switch gears for a little bit. We've been talking about just the high level entrepreneur things and growing companies and all that, but I want to talk a little bit about the detail side of it.
Yeah.
And so you guys have been helping real estate investors for now over a decade. And as I mentioned before, you guys have been kind of the premier website for real estate investors and collecting seller data, helping generate leads, all that stuff. What are you seeing right now in the real estate industry? Because you guys got a lot of data.
Yeah, dude. So across 10,000 plus websites in this space, and we're talking US and Canada primarily, about 700,000 leads a year are coming through our platform. 450,000 or so are online web form fills. And then you have another 3 to 4. We can't track the phone call leads, but from surveys, some people are saying 50% of their leads are phone calls. Some are saying 25%. So it's around 700,000 plus leads. The big trend is we still see online leads growing. I was talking with a guy last week, and he's been a big offline guy. He's one of the gurus out there that you probably know him, Nasser. Amazing dude, but he's a direct mail and cold call guy. Okay. And so after years of grinding on him to focus on online marketing, finally about a month ago, he's like, dude, the future is on online. I've been like, oh my gosh, we've been saying this for 10 years.
Dude, let me tell you about the internet.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people whenever they cold call and do like just old school. So I'm like, Okay. You know how many people know me versus know you?
Exactly.
The only difference is I use the internet.
Yep. 100%, dude. And that's the thing for the last 20 years, every year, the adoption of the web and mobile is just kind of what everybody uses now. It is the thing. So here's a couple things. Number one, if you're doing paid traffic from any social, the majority of your leads are going to come through mobile devices, right? So most of your guys' leads, if they're from Facebook or Instagram, probably 80%, maybe 70%.
We run
plus.
Facebook ads right now.
Yeah, so they're almost all mobile.
Yep.
So we've got to be nailing on the websites. We've got to be nailing high page speed for sure on mobile. And then number two, make sure that you're looking at your website primarily on your cell phone, not on the desktop. And
people make that mistake all the time.
They'll get the website looking exactly the way that they want it to look on desktop, which I'm not saying desktop isn't important. A lot of leads come through desktop still. But knowing that the majority of the leads, by a little margin, it's not like across our platform, it's almost split down the middle. Because if you look at Google search is less heavily weighted towards mobile.
Yeah.
Than
it depends on, I guess,
paid.
your lead source is what's going to dictate it.
100%. Right. Next thing, guys, is there's a lot of people that'll ask the question, do I need a web presence at all? Right? Do I need a website? And well, we're in the business of helping people do that, but I'm the first person to tell you, well, no, you don't need a website to do deals. You could walk down the street and knock on doors. You could cold call. You could do direct mail. You don't need a website. But the question is, how many deals will you be losing if you don't have one, right? Because what people are going to do is all offline marketing drives online demand.
Yeah.
So if you're doing direct mail, or we've got a big client in Louisville, Kentucky, the biggest home buyer in Louisville, name is JP. He has billboards everywhere.
Yep.
And it's his website's up there, and even just his name, the billboards with just his name, it drives people to the internet to search his name.
Yeah.
And so we have to make sure that we're capturing that online demand that happens from our offline marketing. Because if your average profit per deal, let's say, is 25K, you lose one deal a year because either people couldn't find you online, or what they found wasn't a very credible picture, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have you guys have a lot of good reviews for Home Run Offer when you search your guys' name.
Yeah.
I think it's 45 or 50 Google reviews.
Yeah.
Like almost 5-star. That's great. You want to see that. We want to see a YouTube channel up there that has some videos. Ryan, you guys are so great at video because you're good at video. And I was looking at our data this morning across our whole network for the whole past year. 17, almost 18 million visitors to our website, our clients' websites. A lot of leads across all those, right? Do you want to know the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 highest converting traffic sources across 18 million visitors?
Let's hear it.
The first 3 are video. The first 3 are related to video. Now I'm talking conversion rate, not volume.
Yeah.
Okay. So conversion rate. Our data, I wouldn't have predicted this, but our data showed that conversion rate from a YouTube video ad is the highest converting type of any traffic that you can generate, because they're watching a video, they're building trust and credibility with you. They're already pre-sold by the time they click the link and go to your website. Now your website reinforces all that and gives them a nice, easy, smooth path to get there.
By the way, I've kind of told that to people without the data, just intuitively, like not even for real estate investors, but for like gurus and whatever else. I'm like, guys, you have to make long form YouTube videos.
You have to.
And they're like, well, I'm on Instagram. I'm like, dude, you don't get it, man. Like if somebody spends 2 hours listening to me and Trevor, you can bet, like, if they like it, they're gonna be like, dude, you know what? I'm gonna check out this Carrot thing. I'm gonna check out this wealthy investor thing. And like, versus you see a 30-second clip of me and you're just like, who's this guy?
Dude, and I'm pulling up the data right now. Can't remember all of it, but I got some good stuff here. And with that, especially with the motivated house seller in this example, right? Someone making a big decision.
Yeah.
And when we talk about competition, because there is a lot of competition out there, how does a house seller make a decision on who to work with? Well, there's several factors. One is price, right? Yep. Some sellers are just always going to choose on price.
Yeah.
But a lot of them won't. A lot of them will take a lower offer if they trust you more. So price, trust, Part of trust is believability.
Yeah.
Do I believe that Ryan's company is going to follow through with what they say? Part of it's ease and convenience.
Yeah.
Are you making it easier to use in the website? Are you reducing resistance? Are you actually calling people back quickly or at all?
Basic.
Right.
Yeah.
We bought a CRM company called InvestorFuse a few years back, and we've done a lot of product work on it. We just launched a free version of our Carrot CRM.
Got it.
So we took InvestorFuse, moved it in. We said, we're gonna.
It's on the back end of Carrot now.
Yeah. And we have a free version that's freaking amazing. So we have all this data now. And you wouldn't believe, or maybe you would believe.
No, I would believe.
You would believe.
I believe everything now.
The percentage of people who
never touch a lead,
who never touch a
call.
lead,
yeah.
right? But then guys like Nick Perry, who you've had on the podcast, he's on our CRM, and he moved his entire sales team over, I think, a year and a half ago. And you look at their stats and data, dude. They are dialed.
They're hammering the phones.
They're dialed. And so let me rattle off a few of these data points in the marketing side of things. So I lost it, man. Here we go.
Well, let me add to this before you do that. So while you're looking for it.
There we go. Found it again.
I don't know if I ever told you my innovative idea that I actually have never seen anyone do it.
Let's hear it.
So we do marketing for people now, right? So we have Lead Kitchen, which is our higher end kind of agency where, we'll run Facebook ads for you.
Yep.
Now the caveat is, unlike other agencies, we run it with my face and my name and my brand.
Yeah.
And so first off, you don't even need to film anything. Like it's like you want to run tomorrow. How much you want to spend?
Cool.
It's already gone. We already know what works. It's the ads has already been proven itself over millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And so it goes back to that conversion part for like what you were talking about of why it works better is they see me, then people aren't dumb. They're going to go do due diligence.
Yeah.
They're going to go look up YouTubes and everything else. And they're like, okay, I've seen that guy before.
Yep.
I'm going to submit for a house.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's an unfair advantage. People just can't really do it.
Yep. 100%.
And that made me think of part of why it's been working.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, the credibility is huge, right? Anytime we can pre-frame that experience with someone, we give ourselves an edge. And for those of you that, let's say you have a website, it could be a Carrot site or a non-Carrot site. And let's say you just have basic stuff on there. You don't have pictures of yourself or whoever's actually going to show up to the houses or videos. There's a basic about page, but it doesn't really tell much about you maybe. Pretty much in general, all wholesalers and flippers businesses are using the same unique selling proposition.
Dude,
right?
Hold on. Let me add to this because this has been something I've said so many times because real estate investors get so offended. So I'll say, did you realize that real estate investing is like the least creative thing possible?
Yeah.
And like, what do you mean? Like I can do creative finance and this. I go, no, you don't get it. Okay. Literally, the reason why this business is so great is because any ding dong can do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to create a product. You don't have to create a marketing strategy. You don't have to like create anything. You already know what website works for these guys. Yep. I already know they could just buy leads and the lead works because we all sell the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't have to manufacture anything. You don't have to spend any time on R&D.
Dude.
You literally can just plug and play and go tomorrow.
You don't got to reinvent the wheel to learn how to talk to a seller.
Nothing.
None of that stuff.
Everything's the exact same for everybody, which makes it awesome for anyone starting out.
Yeah.
But it's also hilarious because I've been in other businesses now where I do have to create things that didn't exist.
100%, dude.
And I'm like, how do I stand out from everyone else? Like, what can I do that's so different? How do I got to make an ad now. I got to create copy. I got to make like all these crazy things.
Yep.
And so I've run other businesses that require true USPs. And then you're like, okay, I get why wholesaling and house flipping's so great starting out.
And you know, one of the things that pops up around that. So part of what makes your ads and your videos work is even if it's not stated on the website and stuff, part of your USP is we're a trusted source.
Yeah.
Right. And that's something I would challenge every single real estate investor, agent, that's tuning into this is don't take the bait to go out there and market the exact same way that everyone else is.
Yes.
Now, I'll walk you through some stuff like because we have so many websites and so much data and so many sellers coming through. If you were to Google search in every market except for Vegas, dude, like Vegas has always been one that's been a challenge for us for some reason. But every city in America and Canada, if you were to Google search, sell my house fast, insert that city or state, you're going to find somewhere between 3 and 8 Carrot websites, Carrot clients' websites, controlling page one of Google in every market in America and Canada.
And this is SEO for those ones.
That's SEO.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's a lot of paid ads up there as well.
Why do you think Vegas is so hard to crack?
I think the biggest thing, when I was looking at it earlier today, I don't know if the Google algorithm is rewarding brands more heavily in markets like Vegas, but when you look at it, it's pretty much the national brands like We Ugly Houses, Houseo, Home Light.
I think they just spend so much here. It's like insane.
It probably is. Yeah. Open Door wasn't in there. But another one of the reasons too is I think in Vegas, it seems, I could be off on this, Ryan. It seems like there's more of the real estate agent cohort that's trying to kind of go after sell my house type of stuff versus the flippers and wholesalers. But I don't know.
I just know Vegas, in my opinion, and you'd have the data, is one of the top 3 most competitive markets in the country.
It is for sure. Yeah. Miami's always a tricky one to go into with paid marketing. But if you go right outside of Miami, you go to Port St. Lucie, you go to some of those other markets, we can crush it with PPC.
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah.
But yeah, on the marketing side, I want to challenge people to come up with a USP. Okay.
Yeah.
The first thing that I would guide our clients with at Care is I say, yeah, we're going to give you out of the box something that's going to convert better than, you could build on a custom site. It's going to be faster. It's our sites out of the box are between a 98 and 99 on the desktop. They're in the high 70s, or mid 70s, high 60s on mobile. They're always going to be all websites are always going to be lower on mobile because the way that the testing tool tests, we're working on getting those up into the 80s and 90s right now too. And the key here is, while we're going to give you the structure that with science and data we know works with sellers, now it's your job to go out there and say, what's the underserved need in my market? And how do I talk about this a little bit differently? When I pull the highest converting sites across our user base and I look at them, let's say I look at the top 100 highest converting sites on Google PPC or on SEO, or I can slice and dice at the Facebook ads. Almost every time they have a few things in common. And I'll kind of rattle through what they are. Okay. They do use our flow and they use our form field strategy, but almost all those highest converting ones always have some sort of credibility up in the hero. Okay. They've got a BBB up there. They've got a Google reviews thing up there that says 4.8 out of 5 at 45 reviews or whatever. They have credibility that I call it the credibility sandwich. More often than not, they have credibility that is right below and or right above the forms. Because at that point of action, when someone's going to step in and take an action, you need to reinforce that action.
Yep.
On Home Run Offer, your guys' reviews are at the bottom of the page. Test moving a band of reviews right there below the form, and throw on a badge that's 4.8 out of 5 stars, Google reviews, whatever. Test that, see if it'll work. Odds are it'll convert better.
Yep.
Another couple things.
You'd put that where?
Anywhere you have a form. So where you guys have the form up top in the hero.
Yeah.
I call it a credibility bar. It's like right below that.
Got it.
You'll have something. It could be a killer review that eliminates the number one objection that your sellers have.
Yeah.
It could be a data stat. Hey, 852 offers in the last 65, whatever it is, something like that.
Okay.
Just something to reinforce. And then a badge. Anytime there's a badge up there, a credibility badge, and a trusted source, and BBB and Google reviews are the two for this market, it increases conversion quite markedly. But the next thing with it is people have found creative ways, the highest converting websites, they found creative ways to sell the same thing or to say the same thing.
Right.
So rather than sell your house fast, get a cash offer, they might be saying something a little bit different. Okay. It's still the same thing. The client is still recognizing, okay, I'm going to get an offer on my house. It's going to be quick. But it might say something like what their positioning is. The most experienced local home buyer, 14 years in business, over 1,000 homes purchased, get a fair cash offer, something like that. It could be that we're the fastest. Okay, and we have to say, well, no, we're going to be the fastest. We're going to deliver an offer. That's what Open Door's done. Right? Open Door said, no, we're going to position a service that's just pretty much what investors are doing, but we're going to find an underserved need. These offers are taking too long. They're not trusted enough.
Appointments,
whatever it is, right? So we're going to eliminate these issues, and that's positioning. That's one of the reasons that they resonate. So all you investors and agents out there, don't think that you just have to do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
Still make your offer.
I'll even add to that from my experience going full digital, because obviously I've been digital with, education, everything else we've done, but I stayed old school on the wholesale house flipping side for a long time because I mean, it's worked.
Still works great.
Yeah. It's not like it doesn't work, but I was doing TV commercials and they'd still come to the website from TV and fill it out and all that. Yep. So then I started doing Facebook ads last year, in January. So it's been over a year now, and I've been doing Facebook for years, just otherwise.
Oh yeah.
And we tried to do it the old school way where we would go on in-person appointments and all this stuff. And we kept finding that they'd sign with other people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And I soon realized that with things like Open Door and everything else, they are expecting, at least in that lead source, an offer like now.
Yep.
Because they can get an offer now from somebody else.
Yep.
And so it was like a double-edged sword where it was like, wow, okay, we're losing deals because we're not hitting their expectation. We're trying to like slow play them. But then on the other hand, this is great because we could get deals like way faster than ever before. They're already ready to go.
Yep.
It's just, you got to work them differently.
Dude. And what you guys have done too, and this is something I would highly suggest everybody do on the website. I mean, there's a million things that people can do, but I'll just give a few easy ones. Make sure that you're kind of coming out from behind the curtain and you're describing your process. You're in a video, you're walking people through what to expect, because a lot of people either don't know what to expect or they don't believe you or trust you. And if you have a video towards the bottom of your page, or you have a thing up there that says how it works and it walks people through, we want to give them a preview of what they're going to experience. We want to remove some of that fear, or some of that questioning of what the process is going to look like.
Yeah.
The more that we can add transparency to the process, the better it's going to convert. A couple other things that work amazingly well to make those websites convert really, really well. Once again, I like to put credibility should be at least every 500 words on a page. So we should have some credibility, whether it's a review or some sort of a badge, testimonial right below the hero, then minimum every 500 words on the page minimum. And you should always have some on the bottom, like you guys have up there as well. One other thing too, that we've been testing is right after someone submits a lead. This is a major opportunity because the most amount of people who are ever going to, as someone goes down a funnel, of course, the number of people who make it to the next step decreases, right? So once someone opts in, the most people who you guys will ever engage after the opt-in, you're going to engage in the thank you page. You won't be able to get a hold of everybody who submits. Not everyone will actually hop on the call and things like that. So we need to really use this thank you page as well. What we'll do, and what we found works great, is after they fill out that basic information on the first step form, now serve them the longer form.
Yeah.
Now give them the opportunity to put in more details, more information. The more information they put in, the more commitment they now have.
Yep.
Robert Cialdini and Persuasion, the book, he talks about commitment and consistency.
Yeah.
If we can get someone to make little small commitments, they'll be more likely to follow through with consistency. Another thing, Ryan, on that thank you page, put in a video there.
Yep.
Hey, awesome. Thanks for submitting. Here's what the next step is going to look like, is we need to now take them off the market. We need to take them off the market. Pace Morby talks about this, doing this in person a lot, where when he'll be in person with the seller, he does certain things to be able to make them feel that they can't go anywhere until they talk to Pace. Even if they talk to another competitor, Pace takes them off the market. Well, with online leads, it's a little trickier because you're not in front of them yet. So how do we take them off the market? Well, immediate text. You guys send an immediate text. I got it. I submitted a fake lead. I put in the name. Do not call this fake lead, guys.
This is a fake lead.
There you go. Ryan's team. Delete that one. But got a text message from it. Immediately send the text, guys, just like you did. The one change I would make is ask a question.
Yeah.
In the text, always ask a question.
Yeah.
In the email that goes out, we have an automated email on the Carrot side, and we had probably 20 variations of it before we nailed this one. Is, we automatically update their address. Hey, just saw this, reaching out, saw you submitted blank address through our website. Great. And then I ask a question. I don't care what their answer is. I just want them to engage. And so it could be a question like, how quickly are you looking to sell? It could be a question like, do you own this property?
You'll send this an email and or text.
Yep, both. It's gonna be a little bit different, right? Because you want them to feel like it's good, but always ask a question. Because if we can get an engagement, dude.
And we've done that before. I'm not sure why we switched to a statement. But I know for a fact, and in our follow-up text sequences, there are questions that happen after that first one.
Yeah. It's something to test.
Yeah.
We found the quicker we can get people to engage with the question about it.
I agree. I mean, we always send questions, and honestly, I thought they probably were sending a question, so I don't even know what changed.
Update that puppy, man.
Yeah.
Update it. I mean, there's a million other things. I'm going to rattle off a short list here. The page speed is biggie because every second that the website loads slower, especially on mobile devices, and you guys can test it. Go to Google and look up Google Page Speed Tool, put it in your website.
Got it.
We need to have our desktop over 90. Ideally, it's 95, 96, 97, 98.
Okay.
On mobile's always going to be lower. I would say bare minimum, it should not ever be below 55. But we want that up in the 70s ideally or higher.
Okay.
Because every second that it loads, we want to have that website fully loading in 2.5 seconds or below. If it's loading in 6.5 seconds, that's 4 seconds of slower load time. 7% decrease in conversion for every second. So we're talking almost a 30% decrease in conversion, a 30% fewer leads because it's page speed.
I didn't ever figure out how you would calculate this, but does the Wi-Fi matter for that? Like depending on where you're at?
Yeah, so that their local device, so actually what actual device they're using matters. So if they're using a iPhone,
is iPhone faster than Android?
Or whatever, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, but in those tools, I can't remember what it is, but when you put in your website into a testing tool, they automatically use an old version of a phone. So they're not using an iPhone 16 platform to be able to test the speed. They're using like an iPhone 7 or something because they think
so your Wi-Fi wouldn't matter.
Well, if from where you're doing the testing, everything on your device matters. Your device, the internet matters. Everything does.
Okay.
But what it's going to be doing is when you're testing, Google's using their settings.
Yeah.
When you're actually pulling up the website on your phone,
on your own,
but
Google
your Wi-Fi
would tell
matters.
me, how good the site is.
Yeah.
Regardless of where I am.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that we're optimizing for old phones because not everyone has an iPhone 16.
Right.
And so that's why in their Lighthouse model, they are using an old phone, like an iPhone 7, 8, 9 or something like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
But we've got to have that faster. One thing to test too, for you guys it works because you're on video, is we found almost every time we put video up in the hero, the conversion lowers. Now I think you guys are probably different because they're coming to you and your website from a video view, likely.
Yep, they saw
so there's continuity.
Video. Yeah.
But if they're not, if someone's doing an ad and they're not coming to your website from a video already, there's a high likelihood that your website's going to convert lower by putting a video at the top. So instead, put the video down below.
Got it.
Part of it is because if they watched your video, they likely already have audio up. They're likely in a spot where it's okay to listen to your video. So when they click the ad and they go to your website, which has a video, they're ready to watch it. If they're doing a Google search at 11:30 at night, or they're at work and they're doing a Google search, they don't want to click a video.
Yeah.
And tell everyone around them that they're trying to sell their house. So conversion rate goes down. Your buttons, dude. So we've tested this every which way. We've tested the word submit, continue, see your options, get a fair cash offer, get a fast cash offer, get a free cash offer, see my offer. We've tested dozens and dozens of phrases. And when, at least in our tests, when we use the word free in the word versus fair, the word free converted lower. And so we were looking at it going like, why does the word free in these cases across dozens of tests, across a bunch of websites, why does it convert lower? And all that we could come to after seller interviews is that the seller, when they see the word free, they start to assume that it must not be a good, valuable service if it's a free thing.
Yeah.
But if I can say fast, they want a fast offer, or fair, it now starts to eliminate objections. But free is expected. They already didn't expect to pay for the offer.
Yeah, who's buying offers.
So we're not eliminating any objections with the word free, but we could only be planting a potential challenge to it of, well, is this really valuable then if it's a free thing? But we can eliminate objections with fast, with fair, with things like that.
Got it.
And so we've seen sometimes, dude, changing one word in the button of the form can increase conversions 10, 20, 30%.
So you haven't seen fast or fair really they both kind of convert the same?
I would say test it. They've both worked great. What we currently use is fair.
Okay.
Because when we would talk to sellers and run those surveys, not everybody needed a fast offer, but everybody wants a fair offer.
Right.
So we're just trying to look at like what words are going to apply to everybody. Everybody wants this.
Right.
They all want a fair offer, but not everyone needed a fast offer.
Get a fair offer.
Yeah.
You notice different colors that work better?
Yeah. So here's another thing, dude. We've on our carrot websites, the carrot orange, we've just emblazoned into the market, right? So now you guys see in a lot of websites, orange is the button color. I mean, on the carrot sites, but other ones too. And people would think, well, maybe they're orange because it converts the highest or because carrot, that's their branding. Dude, we picked orange because orange is the color that contrasts with the most common branding colors out there. Your button needs to contrast with your branding colors, not blend in.
Oh, got it.
It needs to contrast. And so we always made it a default because very few people have orange in their branding, but a lot of people have blue, have green.
I'm taking notes.
Have gray.
Yeah.
Your guys' button is blue and it matches your branding. So I would test. It doesn't matter. We've found that green worked great. Red worked great. There's a site in Texas too that crushes it, and it's pink. It's a pink, and I'm like, oh, that's the worst thing in the world, but it crushes it. But it contrasts and it matches. It should complement your branding, but it should contrast with the overall rest of the site.
You know what Russell Brunson told me? I asked him this on the pod last time. I said, hey, what do you think's the most like untapped marketing strategy? Like, what are people not doing that would really improve marketing? He goes, the number one thing I would say is not necessarily a marketing source. It is conversion.
Dude, 100%.
And he started talking about all these things of like, if you could get it to convert 20% better, I mean, with the same leads and traffic that are coming to the website, like how much does that lower your cost per lead?
And that's 100% our game. Like that's where in this space we've been going, how do we drive better and better conversion? Because if you lose one deal, you would lose one deal, dude. That's a big deal.
And for me, I run all the marketing for all these people. So I'm just like always thinking about conversion.
Yeah. Dude, we should do something with you guys. Like even if it's just hopping on once a month or once a quarter to share data.
Exactly.
And test stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it can only make all of us better.
We can geek out on that stuff, man.
We won't geek out.
It seems well.
These nerds will geek out.
That's right. I'm going to rattle off a few other things just that I saw on your site. So get reviews up by the calls to action.
I got that.
Okay, that reduces resistance. Get the badge up there.
Yep.
Reduces resistance. Credibility around the form. We already talked about that.
Let me add one thing real quick too. When you test, this is important for people to know too, right?
Yep.
There's like 7 things I could test right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you test something like this right now? Like, would you just go and change them all now because you know they work, or would you start changing them one at a time?
Yeah, good question. So the correct answer here is
one at a time.
Is to pick the one that to pick the one that's likely going to make the biggest difference and test that one first.
Yeah.
The rule of thumb for me is anything in the hero section is almost every single time going to have a higher impact.
Yeah.
Anything closest to the form or the form itself is probably going to have the highest impact of all. So it's like I would look at headline, I would look at credibility in hero, and I would look at anything on the form.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 things that are going to have the highest impact. But yeah, I would pick one to test it for now. But if I were going in and let's say I was hired to help you guys increase that conversion rate, I would make one change on your guys' current site, the one that I think is going to make the biggest lift. Okay. And that change for me, I mean, I would make 2 for your guys because I know without a doubt they increase conversion rate every time I've tested them. I'd add the credibility if it was the right testimonials and objections. And then I would make your form button bigger. Make the form button and the words in it bigger.
Okay.
And make it a different color. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to make that button so darn easy and drop dead brain simple for someone to click.
So you're saying reviews and the form button bigger and
everything about it should be bigger, dude. Like I've
bigger
got
in color.
I've got your site pulled up right here.
Okay.
Branding's good and clear. You've got your video up there. That's good. Your headline's good. Sell your house.
And you said most people shouldn't have a video, but
I think it probably works for you guys, but that's something to test.
Yeah.
You definitely want the video on your page.
Yeah.
Like whether it's right below the form or whatever, but that's something for you guys to test because your guys' leads are coming from them seeing a video ahead of time.
Okay.
But on mobile, I'll show you this, Ryan.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine picturing the average person who's selling their house fast.
Yeah.
Right. they're probably not 21 years old, right? They're probably somewhere between 35 and 75 years old, plus or minus. Some of them may have a hard time even using a mobile device or a computer, potentially. We want to make this button so big and so easy for a thumb to hit.
Like, so are we talking twice as big, 3 times as big?
Make it go almost as wide as you can across the page.
And then
I can show you an example.
Twice as tall?
Yeah, I would say twice as tall. Make it easy enough for a thumb
fill the entire
tap.
phone twice as tall.
Yeah, make it easy for a thumb to tap. Make the words get bigger.
What color
with
you
it.
think will look good with ours?
I'm going to say orange, man. I'm going to say orange and blue just work. The orange pops.
They do.
But you know what, dude? Red would work great with this. I think green, I don't know about green, like a darker green could. Not like a
You haven't looked into like
green.
the psychology of the colors and stuff?
Oh, 100%.
Well, I know you've looked into it, but
we've tested so many colors.
Yeah.
And I've gone down the color train. That
pink
rabbit
and blue
hole.
look good. Boy and girl.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I've gone down the color rabbit hole so much thinking, oh my gosh, I finally figured out the holy grail of colors and
Magenta.
conversion. It's contrast. It's can they read it? Does it contrast from the rest of it? Does it draw the eye in?
Got it.
I thought, man, for sure green, like green go, red stop. I thought green was
What about like white?
White with an
I don't know, just like the neutral colors don't work, like black, white, gray, they don't work.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I've seen some people do a white button with an outline around it. And
if you got this black dark button, just like,
I mean, test it.
Yeah.
That's going to be my default answer with it.
It's always test. Yeah.
But I would do something that stands out, that draws the eye a little bit more on that. Yeah. Make the button way bigger. So going back to your question, I would change those immediately on your site.
Yeah, those ones are simple.
But then what I would do is I would create a second version of a site that has like all the changes, a dramatically different site. So I'd run test A for a while.
Yep.
And
how long do you
out,
test for?
It's less than a time length. It's more of a amount of traffic.
Yeah.
The challenge.
Let's say I'm getting 1,000 views.
Yeah.
Is that enough? Is that enough data?
Well, I want to see minimum 100 leads.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, 100 actions or 100
We can get
leads.
that in a couple of days.
And even with that, the visual website optimizer and those, they're probably going to tell you it's statistically insignificant. It's going to say, well, it's 84% statistically proven that version A is going to beat version B, but then it's going to say it's not statistically significant enough to say this is your winner.
Yeah.
They want to see like 1,000 actions.
Yeah.
The challenge that happens with most people in this space is it might take them 10 years to get 1,000 leads.
Yeah. Well, and then it also goes to the quality of lead.
Yeah.
I learned this. So this is why even with now running direct ads, because it's like, dude, I've been doing direct response for so long and the other stuff. And one thing I learned from just our education stuff is I can go get a ton of traffic very cheaply if I say certain things on ads and everything else. And it's like, I know a lot of these PPL guys do that.
Yeah.
They're saying, get a free home valuation. And it's like, well, that's clearly like not the same level of seller.
Yeah, the lead quality is not nearly as
when I'm
good.
like, I want to give you a cash offer. This is it. I'm trying to buy this house.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, traffic source dramatically changes conversion.
Yeah.
So if we were to look at the biggest thing that when I'm working with people, I focus on is we're going to get the website conversion, like visitor to lead conversion up using some of those principles I talked about. Fast website, credibility where it needs to be, no more than 3 form fields.
But people don't even need to know that. You guys just do it for them.
We take care of that.
Yeah.
Dude, where there's real opportunity with people who are actively doing deals is the lead to deal conversion rate. And so what we find on Facebook, so Facebook ads in general across our platform, because now we have the data from the click to the lead, and we have the data from the lead to the closed deal and the revenue on the other side. So we have the data across the whole.
Yep, because you can see the CRM.
And so what we see is Facebook lead to deals between 1 in 15 to 1 in 30 leads into a deal.
Yeah.
Right. Google ads, that's between 1 in 10 to 1 in 20. Usually, sometimes you'll see an edge case on either side. SEO, we're seeing between 1 in 5 to 1 in 15 leads into a deal. And so your lead source can change your conversion rate, but on the lead to deal rate side of it. We ran a big test with Motivated Leads a little while ago, and they're a big agency in this space, and they use Carrot for all their clients.
Okay.
And they test unbalanced pages, go high level pages, Carrot, custom websites, and they're always testing because they got to retain a client.
Yeah.
Right. They don't have allegiance to us. They have allegiance to their client.
Yeah.
They got to retain a client. And what a lot of people think is, if I have a landing page with thin content, right? A really small landing page, it's not a full-blown website with links to see reviews and all that. People historically would say, well, do a small landing page for Google pay-per-clicks, it's going to convert better. Or we would see people using tools out there that have a really, really, really fast landing page, but it has just an address only and not a lot of content. Hey, this is crushing a Carrot site. Number one, anytime you put an address only field, you're always going to have a higher conversion rate up front.
Right.
Obviously, it's just an address. Number two, the least amount of information that we collect from the person, the lower the lead to deal ratio is.
Yeah.
And so if we can get a little bit more, those 3 form fields, address, phone, required, ideally email optional. I don't even take first name on the forms on the step 1 anymore.
Wow.
We don't need to know their name at that point. We can get it on the call. We can get it on the next page, which usually between 30 and 60% of people fill out step 2 if it's done right. The ones who didn't, then we text, we call, and we can get their name later.
Yeah.
Every form field that we have in there increases resistance, even a name,
Right.
which is wild.
But the question I have is, okay, something as simple as the name, right? Like, obviously, there's always the balance between lead, conversion, right? You could just have one field that's
Quality.
required, right? And then you'll get all that versus how much do we want to qualify them?
Exactly.
So have you guys looked hard into that side of it, or you're kind of just looking at it from a lead basis I guess you are going lead to close.
Yeah. So that test with Brian at Motivated Leads, we ran it all the way to close and we ran it all the way to profit.
Yeah.
And so we found that when you're running traffic to a what we call a mini site versus a landing page. So people will say, I'm going to run to a squeeze page, no links, nowhere to click, nothing, right? Versus a mini site, which has some links to click at the top.
Yeah.
It's got reviews, it's got, compare, it's got about us, things like that. The click to lead conversion rate was a little bit higher on a landing page. The lead to deal was way higher on a mini site, allowing people to click around. And that goes like anti what a lot of people say. Right,
Lead
a lot of
to deal, meaning it took more leads or less?
It was a better lead to deal ratio.
Yeah. So
when they went
less
to a
leads
mini
were
site.
required.
Less leads were required, and those leads were more profitable. Those deals were more profitable.
Yeah.
Because they had a chance to say, well,
what's going on with this company?
yeah, they get to
look 'em
click
up.
around. They get to see reviews. That's another thing I would add on your site is at the top of it, add in a reviews tab.
Okay.
Because there's reviews at the bottom, but we found, Ryan, in our data, the number 3 most clicked and most visited web page across all of our clients' websites, the 10,000 plus websites on there, whether they're a buyer focused website or a seller focused website, is the about page.
Yeah.
You guys have that. Right up there, number 4 or 5 is reviews.
Got it.
Because people click links in the order of they make a decision. When they click on an ad, the first thing that's going to pop to mind is like, I've got a problem.
Yeah.
Is this company a relevant solution to my problem? Do they have something that can solve it? We should solve that immediately in the headline right away, right? They're going to figure that out in 2 or 3 seconds. Next, they're going to go, well, I haven't heard of this before. How's this different than working with an agent or Open Door, or I've talked to 10 other investors. How's it different, right? How does it compare? We need to then start to make the case for how we're different. Are we the most experienced? Are we the fastest? Do we have some good case studies that show that we've solved problems that others don't do well?
Right.
The next thing that pops up after they've checked those boxes of what's their service, can it solve it for me? Do I understand what it is? Like, how's it different than other options? The next thing that's going to come up is, well, how does it work? Like, do I submit and get an offer today? Does it come in tomorrow?
Yeah.
Are you guys going to lowball me like my grandma said? So describing how the process works.
You're like, yes.
Yeah, but you can walk them through though on a whiteboard. Some of our clients have done a whiteboard video. Hey,
Right.
welcome. It looks like you're looking to sell your house. We're going to walk you through. We're in business to make money, but we want to help you. We're going to walk you through how. But then the next thing is, are they credible? Have other people worked with them before?
Right.
And so if we don't give them that outlet to go find that, then we're losing deals. Last thing on this, I get excited about this stuff.
Can I take a second to appreciate how much you know about this?
Way more than I probably want to know sometimes.
But like, I just appreciate the level of expertise, because you spent the last 10 years of your life focusing on optimizing a real estate investor's website.
Yeah.
What a niche to become the best in the world at.
Isn't that crazy?
Because like, I respect that so much, because it's like, this goes back to like what I've learned as an entrepreneur as well, of like going deeper. Because I've been a guy who's been like, you know what? I'll be just like, I won't be the best in the world, but I'll be like pretty freaking good at these things. And so, you know, you start to go wide. Maybe it's like 80-20 rule. I'm going 80% like better than most people.
Yep.
And then, you know, going wide. Whereas you have chosen the path of the last 10 years of just going ultra deep. You went way past the 80%. You're on the 99% of just, I want to test this little part. Maybe it would help if I just put the review here versus there. And nobody really ever gets to that level of detail, nor even appreciates it. They're just like, well, dude, I mean, like, you just do it and whatever, and I'll just buy carrot, right?
And people don't understand oftentimes that the reason that button is the way that it is after 20 tests.
Exactly. I understand it because I've done so many tests. And that's why I want to like appreciate you for spending the last decade of your life to figure out what is the best way to build a website.
Dude, and that's the key, because the next follow-up question is like, well, so that type of work interests me. It's not my passion, right? The passion is the entrepreneur stuff we talked about. This stuff is interesting to me though, because it's human psychology. Yeah. And these principles can go into any business ever.
And this is why you and I are both from a direct response background.
Exactly.
Doing this.
Dude, I was doing this in non-real estate sites before real estate sites, way before Carrot came across. And these same principles apply. And so, and anyone looking at this, if you want to be able to make great money, know how to sell and know how to market. Yeah. And go deep on those two things, because you're basically buying your meal ticket for the rest of your life if you nail those things. And then get pretty darn good at the craft of the actual widget. Get pretty good at making offers, and you don't have to be world class at that if you're world class at selling. At
I can have stuff fall through the cracks because we generate so many leads.
Exactly. Dude, I'll give one last marketing nugget, and I'll toss over to you, and we can bring this bad boy home. And when I talk about reviews, right? What a lot of people will do is they'll just put up a review. Yeah. They'll, hey, Johnny said this and whatever. But what we need to do, and we've tested this on our paid traffic offers, we've tested this in my other businesses that are non-real estate, is I want you guys to write down what are the 3 to 5, 3 to 6 biggest objections that you handle when you're talking to people. Okay, it could be price. It could be, are you actually going to follow through? You're going to, let the deal fall through in the last second. Are you going to renegotiate with me? Are you trustworthy? There's a bunch of things. Is it actually as simple as you say? All right, so write down the top 3 to 5 objections that your clients bring to you or that you experience. That's what you need reviews and testimonials on. Yeah. I want to have 1 to 3 reviews and testimonials for each objection. Mm-hmm. And then pick your number one objection that you encounter for the number one type of deal that you like to do. Let's say probate is your number one deal type. Yeah. And the number one objection with probate is X. Mm-hmm. That's the review that needs to be up towards a hero section. Yeah. Hey, Ryan paid more. Ryan followed through and closed on a deal another wholesaler couldn't.
Yeah, they backed out. He was able to get it done.
They backed out. Ryan followed through on his promise and actually even put more money in my pocket than I thought. Dude, we just eliminated like 3 objections there. Yeah. They're trustworthy. They follow through. They must have made a fair offer because put more money in my pocket than I thought. Yep. And they actually got the deal done, and it was quick. So think about your reviews in that way, y'all. Okay, they only exist to increase trust and eliminate objections. That's it, not to fill space.
I love that. So the last thing I'll say is something we talked about before all this was, eventually, you're an entrepreneur at heart, right? So you love, like you just mentioned, the side of just being a business owner and everything else. And you've mastered building websites essentially as like a core competency. Yeah. And you told me, you're like, I think, at some point we're going to go into other industries and do this pretty much the same exact playbook. Yeah. And it got me thinking, because it's like, if you learn certain skills, it applies everywhere. Because the first question I've gotten as we've had more success generating leads for people is like, are you going to go into other industries? You know, what about roofing? What about this? And I'm like, all I care about right now is just getting real estate investors great leads.
Yep.
And if we can do that through optimizing our website, optimizing our ads, optimizing all these things, then I'm just focused on that for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
But you know, if at some point, I don't know, one day we sell the company, I still got the same skills.
Yeah. Yep.
It won't be that difficult to go transition those skills into something else.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about all that?
Yeah. For us is like 2 years ago, when we were looking at how do we continue to grow in this space and serve more people. We're by far the biggest of what we do in this niche of a niche for the type of product that we do. And one of the things that I ask Ryan is anytime I'm planning, I say, okay, can we double our business with our current product in our current market? Like, could we theoretically double our company? And I'm sure there's some magician out there that could figure out how to double our business with our current product, current market.
Yeah.
But we couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. You need a new product or.
Yeah, exactly.
Market.
So we're like, well, we got to add a new product in the existing market, which is when we bought the CRM company, Investor Fuse. And then we built it into Carrot with Carrot CRM and have that free version. But then we even looked at that and said, well, is this market a growing market over the next decade? Because I always want to invest in growing markets. And when we look at the overall number of people, investors and agents, that's pegged to be a stagnant market over the next decade. Because you see a lot of agents had gone out of the market the last 3, 4, 5 years, and I think more will with some of the technology and other things. And you're seeing with wholesalers, especially, laws happening make traditional wholesaling a little bit harder. So people are going to have to become hybrids and get a license. I just think in general, you're going to see a lot of consolidation. And so I'm going a roundabout way to solve to answer your question. But when we looked at this, we said, well, if we want to grow, we need to add other products to the same market, or we need to go into new markets with that existing skill set and existing product.
Yeah.
And we look at the real estate investor and agent space. I think it's an amazing space. I think there's going to be more revenue in this space than ever over the next decade, but it's not going to be at the volume play. It's not going to be us trying to get to 20,000 active members in this space. It's going up market. It's selling products that are $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, going enterprise, selling data feeds, getting a piece of transactions. I think there is a lot of opportunity there. So when we said, do we take our existing skill set over, we go, can we reliably transfer this over? And we found like HVAC, roofers are doing really well with our product right now in a kind of a beta scale, beta phase. And they're growth markets. Those markets are growing over the next decade. So I'm a big believer of always going into markets where there's tailwinds, not headwinds.
Yep.
And I think there's gonna be some headwinds as far as selling into a volume play, but going where you guys are going up market heavily. I think there's a lot of tailwind.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, dude, how do people reach out? How do they go connect with you, get Carrot, all that?
Dude, at carrot.com, where you guys can find out about the products.
How much did that website cost?
Dude, guess first.
How long ago did you buy it?
We bought it in 2019.
Oh, dang. Okay. So you bought it pretty recently. $250.
Dude, I wish. The first time
$1 million?
600,000. The first time I had an opportunity to buy it was for 250, and I said, whoever pays that's an idiot.
When was that?
That was a year before. A year prior, man.
I would have been right if you would have just listened.
Yeah, dude. I thought there's no way I'm going to pay that much money. And then we finally had the last opportunity I think we probably would have ever had to get this domain. And I had to do the math, and I go, either we're going all in on this brand and we're going to own the word Carrot, dude, and we're going to go into other markets, or we're going to stay on Carrot. And,
what was the original domain?
On Carrot, ON Carrot.com.
On Carrot.com.
Dude, the challenge there's a whole nother hour conversation around branding. Is whatever your domain name is, if it's in your marketing a lot, it becomes your brand.
Yeah, I don't like that, On Carrot.
No.
I'm glad you bought it.
It got us the 3 million or whatever that number was, man. But it's like in revenue, but we knew that it was clouding the brand in a big way. But yeah, 600 grand. I wouldn't trade it for a second. It's worth more than that today. I could probably sell it in a week for between 700,000 and $1 million.
Yeah. Quick flip.
Yep, for sure. But yeah, people can go there. find me on IG, just Trevor, TREVOR.Mauch, MAUCH. Or dude, my podcast I'm passionate about, it's called the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. It's all that stuff we talked about at the first part, the pain lines. I think the first 7-8 episodes are talking about the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula, what those parts look like. And I go through each and every pain line, 100,000, 300,000, a million, 3 million, 10 million and above, and how you get through those pain lines. Go check it out.
Dope. Guys, go check it out. We'll link to it all down below. And Trevor, appreciate you coming on, man.
Dude, heck yeah, man. Appreciate the invite and pumped to be here and see your operations. Impressive, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Guys, go do all that. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you on the next one.
Cool.
Peace.
Thank you all.